My dear brothers and sisters,
today we address a topic that's been trending not only in modern society, but also within the minds of our youth, our influencers, and our ummah as a whole. Tattoos specifically, many are now asking, are there any halal tattoo ideas? Let us take a moment to reflect deeply, not just with the ink of our skin, but with the ink of our soul. In today's world, expressing yourself through art, fashion, and even body modification has become popular. Tattoos, in particular, are seen as symbols of identity, passion, or even remembrance. But as Muslims, before we follow a trend, we ask, what does Allah want from me? What does the Prophet ﷺ teach me? That is the filter for every action. The Prophet Muhammad said in a hadith reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, Allah has cursed those women who practice tattooing and those who get themselves tattooed. This hadith is very clear, and the scholars have unanimously agreed. Permanent tattoos where ink is injected under the skin, changing Allah's creation, are haram, forbidden. They involve altering the body that Allah has perfectly created and can involve harm or impurity.
Now you may ask,
But what about my intention? Even if your intention is noble, perhaps a Quranic verse, a meaningful word, or a reminder, the action itself remains impermissible because the means to that end violates the boundaries set by Allah. But here's the beauty of Islam. Islam does not suppress creativity. Islam redirects creativity. You want to express your identity, you want to be minded to pray, you want upon our loved one. In a world that constantly encourages self-expression, many people look for ways to show their beliefs, passions, or identities in visible and artistic forms. For some, tattoos have become a popular way of doing that. Whether it's a name, a symbol, a verse, or a memory, people use tattoos to externalize what they feel inside. But as Muslims, we operate under a different lens. We ask not just what looks good or feels good, but what is good in the sight of Allah. When it comes to permanent tattoos, Islam has drawn a clear boundary. The Prophet Muhammad explicitly mentioned that those who tattoo and those who get tattooed are cursed, and the consensus of scholars affirms that this act is haram. But this doesn't mean Islam is against beauty or creativity. Rather, it redirects it in a pure, safe, and spiritually beneficial way. When someone feels the desire to express something meaningful on their body, perhaps it's not the ink itself they seek, but the identity behind it. That's where temporary tattoos can offer a halal and thoughtful alternative. These are designs applied on the surface of the skin without piercing it, without causing harm, and without making permanent changes to the body that Allah created perfectly. They fade within days or weeks and do not alter the natural creation of Allah. In many cases, they can even be applied using water-based materials or special pens that are safe and easily removable. This option becomes a bridge between honoring the rules of Islam and acknowledging the human desire for self-expression. It allows individuals to enjoy art, culture, and even religious reminders without compromising their faith. A person might apply a temporary design that includes words like sabr, shukr, or alhamdulillah. These words serve as both adornment and remembrance. Every time the individual sees it, they are reminded to be patient, to be grateful, and to thank Allah for every blessing. It becomes a form of decor, not on the tongue, but through the eyes and heart. Yet even with temporary tattoos, a Muslim must maintain a level of respect and awareness. We must never place Allah's name, verses from the Quran, or the names of the Prophet in areas of the body that are exposed to impurity, such as near private parts or on the feet. It would be disrespectful to walk into a restroom with a verse of the Quran printed on your body, even temporarily. Islam teaches us that our body is an amana, a trust from Allah, and that our respect for His words should manifest in every action, even where and how we place a temporary design. Some might wonder if temporary tattoos affect wudu. This depends on the type used. If the material forms a barrier that prevents water from reaching the skin, like waterproof stickers or thick layers of glue-based ink, then it must be removed before performing wudu. But if it is thin, breathable, and does not block water from reaching the skin, then it does not invalidate ablution. A Muslim who values the salah will naturally be cautious and aware of these things. Beyond that, the concept of using temporary tattoos can even be expanded into Islamic education and youth engagement. Imagine a youth program where children apply fun and respectful Islamic designs as a way of learning about the deen. A smiley face with the words "Say Bismillah" before eating, or a star with "Pray on time" written on it. These little things create a connection especially for young Muslims growing up in a modern world filled with distraction. It gives them a halal way to belong, express and connect without falling into the haram. And for adults, temporary body art can serve as a private reminder. A person struggling with anxiety may find peace in seeing the word tawakkul written on their arm. Someone grieving may wear inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun to console their heart. These messages, while temporary on the skin, can leave permanent impressions on the soul. That's the power of intentional art within the boundaries of Islam. Furthermore, temporary tattoos can be used during Islamic events or Eid celebrations. Henna has long been used by Muslim women to adorn their hands with beautiful floral patterns, geometric shapes, and sometimes even Arabic calligraphy. Men can also apply small and dignified henna designs on special occasions without falling into anything un-Islamic. In all these cases, the goal is not to impress people or seek attention. It is to celebrate life within the framework that Allah has given us. When your intention is pure, your expression becomes a form of worship. In the end, it's not about the tattoo itself, it's about why you want it, what it says about you, and how you choose to represent yourself as a servant of Allah. If your goal is to feel connected, inspired, or reminded, know that Islam provides beautiful alternatives that do not compromise your spirituality. Temporary tattoos are just one of many ways to channel creativity into something that elevates you, not something that lowers your spiritual worth. When you choose a halal path over the haram one, Allah rewards you even for the sacrifice of your desire. That little decision, that small act of saying no to what displeases Allah becomes a heavy deed on your scale on the day of judgment. And that is more valuable than any design, any art, or any expression this world can offer. When a person feels the need to carry something close to their heart, a reminder, a message, or a symbol that represents their identity, beliefs, or values, the desire is often sincere and emotionally driven. In a world where many resort to permanent tattoos as a way to hold on to these feelings or declarations, Islam offers a more dignified and spiritually sound alternative through Islamic jewelry and accessories. These items serve as both adornment and meaningful reminders without violating the boundaries of what is halal. They not only preserve the integrity of the body that Allah has created, but also offer the wearer an opportunity to align fashion with faith. The body in Islam is considered a trust, a sacred gift from Allah, not to be altered in any way that He has prohibited. This is why permanent tattoos are forbidden, as they involve injecting ink beneath the skin, altering the creation of Allah. However, Islamic jewelry does no such thing. It beautifies the person outwardly, while potentially inspiring inner reflection. It is a form of expression that leaves the body intact and the shoe uplifted.
A ring with the word sabr engraved into it, or a necklace carrying the Arabic calligraphy for tawakkul, is not just a piece of ornamentation. It is a spiritual cue. Every time the hand moves, every time the mirror reflects the necklace around the neck, it becomes a silent reminder of one's purpose and one's connection to Allah. Instead of embedding a verse under your skin through a tattoo, you can wear a locket inscribed with a powerful verse from the Quran, such as, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest." This way, the message remains close, but the method remains pure.
There's something very special about intention in Islam. Even the most ordinary act becomes an act of worship if the intention is righteous. Wearing Islamic jewelry with the niyyah to remind yourself of Allah throughout the day transforms a simple accessory into a tool of remembrance or dhikr. You are not only avoiding the impermissible act of tattooing, but you are elevating a permissible act to a spiritual one. And in doing so, you are being rewarded for your choices and your awareness. Islamic accessories go beyond just rings and necklaces. You can use bracelets with meaningful Arabic words, keychains that contain hadith reminders, or even tasbih counters that combine utility and beauty. Some people carry wallet cards with Quranic verses or powerful du'as that they glance at before making important decisions. These subtle everyday items serve the same psychological purpose that tattoos often try to fill, a reminder of one's values, story, or goals, but with the added benefit of being respectful to both body and soul. For those who love design and fashion, Islamic jewelry provides a unique opportunity to bring modesty and spirituality into personal style. There's something beautiful about being able to wear something trendy, elegant, and yet deeply rooted in the deen. A sister wearing a necklace that says, "Hijab is my crown," or a brother wearing a ring that says, "La ilaha illallah," is sending a message not only to themselves, but to the world. Faith can be fashionable, and righteousness can be graceful. However, as with all things, moderation and adab must be observed. If jewelry becomes a means to show off, to boast, or to draw attention in ways that go against Islamic values, then the very same item that was once a source of good can become a source of fitna. We are always told in Islam that intentions are crucial, but they must be accompanied by appropriate conduct. A verse of the Quran worn as a necklace must not be taken into inappropriate places, such as restrooms. Names of Allah should be treated with honor, and items with religious text should be removed respectfully when necessary. This shows our love, our reverence, and our humility in front of the divine.
What's also beautiful is that these accessories can become tools for dawah. Imagine sitting on a bus or at a cafe and someone sees the word Tawbah or Alhamdulillah on your ring or your watch strap. That curiosity can lead to a conversation. That conversation can lead to someone discovering the mercy of Allah, the beauty of Islam, or the purpose of life. In a world where Muslims are often misunderstood, these small things can become big opportunities to spread the light of truth.
Sometimes people think that the only way to feel spiritually connected is through something extreme or permanent. But Islam teaches us that it is through the small, consistent, sincere actions that hearts are changed and souls are purified. You don't need a tattoo to feel strong. You don't need permanent ink to prove you are patient, grateful, or steadfast. You just need to carry these qualities in your heart, and if you wish, reflect them outwardly in a halal, respectful, and beautiful way. When we choose to wear something that reminds us of Allah, it becomes more than decoration. It becomes a shield against sin, a motivator for good deeds, and a spark of light in dark moments. That is far more powerful than any ink, any trend, or any worldly fashion. In every human being exists a natural desire to express what they feel, to externalize their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs in a form that others can see and they themselves can reflect upon. For many, especially in today's world, this desire manifests through art, symbols, or imagery that holds personal significance. It is not unusual to see people permanently tattoo verses, symbols, or quotes on their bodies to preserve the memory of something or to display a message they hold dear. But when Islam draws the line at permanent bodily alterations, it does so not to suppress this human urge, but to redirect it into forms that preserve one's dignity, health, and spiritual integrity. One of the most beautiful and halal alternative to tattoos in this context is the use of wall art or digital art, visual expressions that inspire the heart without defiling the body. Islam is a religion that encourages beauty. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Indeed, Allah is beautiful and loves beauty. But beauty in Islam is not just about the outer form. It is about the harmony between the inner and outer, a reflection of the heart through respectful and meaningful actions. When someone desires to express their connection with Allah, their reliance upon Him, or their journey of faith, they do not need to engrave it onto their skin. Instead, they can inscribe it on the walls of their homes, on the pages of their journals, or the screens they look at daily. These forms of artistic expression not only protect one from falling into the forbidden, but they also invite others into a space filled with light, tranquility, and purpose. Imagine walking into a home and seeing a large canvas on the wall that says, Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illa, Allah is sufficient for me. There is no deity except Him. Just that one verse, beautifully written, can fill a room with barakah. Every glance becomes a moment of reflection. Every guest becomes exposed to the remembrance of Allah. This is not just decoration. This is dawah. This is building a space that constantly reminds the soul of its creator. Unlike tattoos, which fade, wrinkle, and are eventually buried with the body, wall art and digital art remain visible, intact, and can be passed down, gifted, or shared widely with others. They outlive trends and can outlast generations. In a time that everyone is glued to screens, phones, laptops, and tablets, another powerful form of halal expression is digital art. A phone wallpaper with the name of Allah, a digital painting of Masjid al-Haram, or a calligraphy piece containing a supplication can become a daily reminder and spiritual motivation. You open your phone dozens of times a day. Imagine if each time you were met with a message that said, "Don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah." These are small choices, but they shape our thinking, our emotions, and our connection with the divine. This form of halal creativity also allows artists and designers within the ummah to contribute to a meaningful cause. Rather than using their talent to design haram, immature, or pointless content, they can use their skills to produce wallpapers, posters, prints, and visual messages that uplift the ummah. In doing so, not only do they avoid what displeases Allah, but they gain the reward of inspiring others, spreading knowledge, and encouraging remembrance. A single verse posted on social media can reach thousands. A visual of a beautiful hadith decorated respectfully and shared online can soften hearts and bring people back to the path of righteousness. What's even more remarkable is that such art is not limited by space. A tattoo is restricted to your own body, seen only by a few. But Islamic wall art or digital pieces can be framed and placed in the masjid, in classrooms, in hospitals, and in community centers. They become collective reminders of Allah's mercy, His power, and His love. And when a person glances at one of these and is moved to pray or reflect or repent, the one who created or placed that piece of art gets a share in that reward. That is the power of using halal means for expression. Of course, one must be cautious even with halal forms of art. Verses from the Quran or the names of Allah should not be placed in areas where they could be disrespected, such as near bathrooms or kitchens, or placed too low on the wall. Likewise, digital art should not be used carelessly, such as in chat stickers or memes that are not respectful. The goal is always to uplift, not to trivialize. And just as Islam forbids what is harmful, it also teaches adab, manners, and respect, even with the sacred and permissible. In the ever-evolving world of fashion and self-expression, people are constantly looking for ways to project their beliefs, identity, and personality outwardly. Clothing has become more than just a necessity. It is a statement, a form of communication without words. In modern times, people often use tattoos to portray meaningful words, affirmations, or symbols that reflect their inner world. But Islam, in its perfect balance between guidance and freedom, offers a better and permissible alternative to this. Instead of permanently marking our skin, we are encouraged to use what is already halal, like our clothing, to display messages that uplift, inspire, and remind us and others of greater values. Engraving, printing, or stitching meaningful, motivational, or religiously grounded messages on our clothing is one of the most dignified and impactful ways to express ourselves while remaining within the limits of our faith. Allah has given us garments not just to cover ourselves, but also to beautify us and preserve our honor. The Quran mentions, O children of Adam, we have bestowed upon you clothing to conceal your private parts and as adornment, but the clothing of righteousness that is best. This verse reminds us that what we wear is not just for physical coverage or social status. It should reflect our inner taqwa, our God consciousness. So when a believer chooses to wear a shirt that says Alhamdulillah or be patient, Allah is with you, it becomes more than just fashion. It becomes an act of dawah, a form of remembrance, and an inspiration not only for the wearer but for those around them. Such messages on clothing can influence hearts in silent but profound ways. A hoodie with the word tawakkul can remind someone in passing to trust Allah in their difficulties. A kip embroidered with pray on time can plant a seed of discipline in someone who is struggling with their salah. A tote bag that says Allah loves you may be the very message that uplifts someone going through a silent battle. This is the kind of fashion that brings light, not vanity, sincerity, not arrogance, purpose, not distraction. Unlike tattoos, which are permanent, unchangeable, and forbidden in Islam, clothing is flexible. You can change your shirt tomorrow, but the impact it had today may linger in someone's heart forever. And because clothing is visible, it naturally becomes a tool of expression. And for the believer, it's an opportunity to share good silently. It is a way to live with intention, to make even the act of dressing in the morning an act of ibadah, because you are choosing to wear something that brings others closer to Allah, or at least reminds them of Him. Another beautiful aspect is that wearing Islamic reminders does not require any alteration to the body. It leaves no harm, no trace, no regret. Many people who have had tattoos done in the past, before embracing Islam or before becoming more practicing, often experience remorse. They wish they could undo the decisions that were once made in moments of impulsiveness. But with clothing, there is no such fear. You can be creative, expressive, and even bold, but with the safety of knowing that nothing you are doing is displeasing to Allah. There is also an element of empowerment in wearing garments that express your Islamic identity, especially in times where Muslims face criticism. scrutiny or misunderstanding. Wearing a shirt that says proud Muslim or Islamic peace is a peaceful declaration of truth. It reminds others that we are not ashamed of who we are. On the contrary, we carry our faith with pride and confidence. It's not about being loud, it's about being firm, gentle, and clear in our conviction. Parents can also use this method to instill Islamic values in their children. Instead of dressing kids in random graphics or characters with no meaning, imagine a toddler wearing a shirt that says, I love Allah or Bismillah before I eat. These phrases, repeated through visual exposure, become embedded in a child's mind and routine. They grow up associating clothing with positivity, faith, and personal identity. This is how you raise children, not just in Islam, but with Islam woven into the fabric of their everyday lives. Of course, as with all things in Islam, modesty and intention must always be preserved. Wearing religious phrases on tight or revealing clothing, or placing them on parts of the body that invite disrespect, such as pants near private areas, must be avoided. Words like Allah, Muhammad, or any Quranic references should not be placed on garments that might end up on the floor or be worn to impure places. It's not just about the message, it's also about the end. That's what distinguishes the Muslim. Not only do we follow what is halal, but we do it with reverence and honor. On a world filled with loud messages that distract from the truth, being a walking reminder of sincerity, patience, and gratitude is a noble goal. Wherein your faith is not just for the masjid or Jumu'ah, it's for everyday life, whether at work, at the gym, in the market, or on a walk. Your shirt can say what your tongue doesn't. And perhaps through it, someone else finds a moment of guidance, healing, or clarity. In the heart of every believer lies a desire to connect with the divine, to remember, to reflect, and to hold on to the truth of life in moments of stillness. While some may seek to preserve powerful thoughts or emotions through tattoos, marking them permanently onto their skin, Islam, in its infinite wisdom and mercy, offers us more meaningful and permissible methods to document our journeys. One such deeply personal and spiritually enriching alternative is journaling. Writing Islamic thoughts, reminders, verses, and affirmations in a notebook becomes not only a safe and halal outlet for expression, but also an intimate dialogue between the soul and its creator. The act of writing carries tremendous weight in Islam. Allah himself swore by the pen in the Quran, Nun, by the pen and what they inscribe, Surah Al-Qalam 6. This is not just a casual mention, it is a divine oath that elevates the value of writing, reflection, and the preservation of knowledge and thoughts. When a Muslim takes time to write down their reflections, du'as, or struggles on paper, it becomes an act of remembrance. The heart is involved, the mind is focused, and the soul is engaged in a process that can bring clarity, peace, and even healing. Journals are more than just pages filled with ink. They are like mirrors to the soul. A believer who opens their journal in the early hours of the morning and writes, Ya Allah, guide me today, is not just writing. They are whispering to their Lord. They are acknowledging their weakness and asking for strength. They are pausing the chaos of life to connect with the one who is always listening. Unlike a tattoo that is exposed to the world and often done for validation or aesthetics, journaling is hidden, sincere, and deeply personal. It is private worship, a space where vulnerability meets divine comfort. There is a unique power in writing down what matters most. A notebook can carry Quranic verses that touch the heart, reflections after listening to a lecture, reminders to improve one's character, or even a list of du'as one wants to remember to make in sujood. Instead of carving these into one's skin, you carve them into your memory and into your heart through repeated reflection. And when you go back weeks, months, or even years later and read those pages, you witness your own spiritual journey. You see how far you've come, how your understanding has matured, and how your relationship with Allah has evolved. Journaling is also a safe and beneficial outlet during difficult times. When emotions run high, when trials overwhelm, or when words are hard to say aloud, a notebook becomes a silent companion. A page that says, I feel lost, but I trust you, Ya Rab, is a statement of faith in the middle of confusion. You may feel like your world is falling apart, but by writing to Allah, you're choosing to fall into His mercy rather than despair. These are not just words, they're spiritual therapy, and they're entirely halal. Moreover, journals become a legacy. What you write today may inspire your children tomorrow. A parent who documents their prayers, reflections on parenting, or their love for Allah in a journal may one day leave behind a book that strengthens the iman of their offspring. Imagine your child one day reading your words, Today I thanked Allah for you. You are my dua come true. What more powerful memory could a parent leave? That is the kind of legacy that doesn't fade with the skin or age with time. It deepens, enlightens, and lasts. For students of knowledge, journaling is an invaluable tool. Whether one is memorizing Quran, studying Hadith, or attending Islamic lectures, taking notes and reflecting on what is learned anchors the knowledge in both the mind and heart. When you write, you are engaging with the content in a way that tattooing a phrase never could. Writing is an act of gratitude for knowledge, a way of preserving it, and often a path to implementing it. The beauty of journaling is that it requires no special tools, no expensive materials, and no outward approval. It's between you and Allah. You can carry a small notebook in your bag, use your phone's note app, or keep a dedicated Islamic journal at your bedside. Write after tahajjud, write before fajr, write when you feel close to Allah, write when you feel distant. Let your pen be honest, let your ink carry your journey. Even for those who are creative, journaling can involve more than just words. You can sketch Quranic calligraphy, illustrate stories from the seerah, or create visual pages of gratitude and dua. Islamic journaling can be as artistic or as simple as you wish. As long as it maintains respect and sincerity, it becomes a tool for worship, a means of reflection, and a way to remain connected to the deen in a practical, heartfelt manner. In a world where self-expression has become central to identity, many seek ways to artistically reflect their emotions, beliefs, and personality. Among these expressions, tattoos have grown in popularity across cultures. However, Islam, in its divine wisdom, prohibits permanent tattoos due to their irreversible nature and the alteration of the body Allah has perfectly created. But as always, Islam does not shut the doors to expression. Instead, it opens other doors, ones that preserve the sanctity of the body while still allowing creativity. One of the most beloved alternatives, deeply rooted in Islamic tradition and completely halal, is the use of henna or temporary body art. Henna has been used for centuries by Muslim cultures, and even during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, it is a natural dye made from the leaves of the henna plant, used not only for beautification, but also in celebrations, weddings, and moments of joy. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, narrated that the Prophet recognized her from a distance because of the henna on her hands. This practice is more than cultural. It is embedded in our sunnah and carries spiritual and emotional significance. What makes henna so special is its temporary nature. Unlike tattoos that are carved into the skin, remaining for life and often carrying regret or becoming irrelevant over time, henna fades naturally within days or weeks. This aligns beautifully with the Islamic principle that nothing in this dunya is meant to be permanent. Even our emotions, situations, and experiences come and go, and henna art reflects that transience. A design that once adorned your hand in celebration of Eid or a wedding fades away, reminding you that moments are fleeting and the real permanence is in the hereafter. Another beautiful aspect of henna is that it does not cause harm to the body. There are no needles, no pain, no blood, and no risk of infection or scarring. It enhances the body without altering it, beautifies the skin without violating it. Islam places a great emphasis on not harming oneself. The Prophet said there should be neither harming nor reciprocating harm. Tattoos involve pain, chemicals, and often regret, whereas henna involves care, gentleness, and peace. Henna can be a beautiful form of spiritual expression. Imagine inscribing your hand with a floral design that frames the word sabr, patience, or a crescent moon with the word tawakkul, trust in Allah. These designs not only look beautiful, but serve as subtle temporary reminders of your faith. As you go through your day and glance at your hand, you're reminded of virtues that anchor you. And when they fade, you are left with the realization that nothing should be clung to except Allah and the eternal truth of His words. Many sisters already use henna for joyful occasions like Eid, weddings, or welcoming a new baby. But it doesn't have to be limited to those times. It can be used as a personal, peaceful way to beautify oneself within halal limits, even in private. A woman who applies henna just for herself or her husband is rewarded for that intention. Islam honors adornment and even encourages it, as long as it is done modestly and within the bounds of what is pure and respectful. Even men are permitted to use henna, not as decorative designs on their hands, but as a dye for the beard or hair, especially for older men. The Prophet himself approved and practiced this. This shows that the use of natural body adornment is not foreign to our faith, but rather aligned with it in its proper form. What is even more inspiring is that henna is often applied in an atmosphere of love, sisterhood, and happiness. Families gather before Eid to decorate one another's hands. Brides sit surrounded by their loved ones as they're adorned with beautiful henna in preparation for their big day. These moments are filled with laughter, remembrance of Allah, and shared joy. This is the kind of expression that Islam promotes, one that connects hearts, honors traditions, and creates memories without sin. In contrast, tattoos are often done in isolation, in dark or impulsive environments, and may carry with them a sense of rebellion or regret. They are often about making a statement to the world, but Henna is about celebrating the blessings of Allah, the gift of community, love, beauty, and life's fleeting moments. It's not about making a loud statement, about whispering joy into the skin gently and beautifully. Furthermore, for those who feel drawn to the aesthetic of tattoos, the artistic lines, patterns, or symbolic meanings, Henna offers a safe space to explore that art in a way that is spiritually permissible. You can draw detailed patterns, geometric art, floral pieces, and even include meaningful words in Arabic calligraphy. You're not restricted from creativity in Islam. You're guided to channel it in a way that pleases your creator and protects your body. Henna also teaches patience. The process of applying it, waiting for it to dry, and watching the color develop over time cultivates mindfulness. It teaches you to enjoy the moment, to be present, and to appreciate the beauty of simple, natural things. In a world that rushes everything from emotions to results, applying henna becomes a moment of peaceful pause, a moment of reflection, a moment where you're not just beautifying your hands, but also remembering. In the end, our bodies are a trust from Allah. We are custodians of them, not owners. We are not to abuse them or mark them with regret, but to honor them and protect them until we return to Him. Henna is one of the many halal alternatives that allow us to enjoy beauty, creativity, and expression while staying faithful to our values. Let us embrace what is pure, and let us adorn ourselves with what pleases the One who created us. May Allah grant us beauty in our actions, modesty in our appearance, and sincerity in our hearts. May He allow us to express ourselves in ways that earn His love and light, and keep us away from anything that causes long-term harm. Ameen.